Okay. Said to myself, I'm going to keep on doing this. I need water to quench my thirst. All right, so we're on the Phase 3, 2. Count, stupid! We're on Phase 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe ranking. I think I've already decided I'm not going to do the Infinity Saga ranking today. I got 5 freaking rankings to do today, and I'm done. I'm going to release them. Maybe 2 a day. Maybe you'll have 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, and 1 on Sunday. Actually, maybe I'll do 1 Friday, 2 Saturday, and 2 Sunday. That way, both Phase 4 rankings are the same day. And we'll start fresh with whatever the hell I decided to do on Monday. But I'm not going to take too long to get in. It's like I did last time. It took like 4 minutes. But Phase 2. All right, this is post-Avengers. What's going to happen? What are we going to do? What's next? Right? So we got 6 more films for this phase because they were trying to do 6 at a time. And then with Phase 3, they're like, hell, let's double it. You know? But I think that Phase 2 is actually pretty solid. Say for a couple of titles that people, or one that they really frown upon that I don't think is as bad as it is, but, you know, whatever. Let's just go ahead. Number 6 is Iron Man 3. Now, a lot of people stand up for this. Shane Black directed this. Oh wait, I didn't. How long was the Avengers? 143 minutes. Avengers was the first movie to go over 2 hours. Way over 2 hours, I mean. To be one of the long ones, okay? 2 hours and 23 minutes to be precise. This one's 130 minutes. So this was over 10 minutes over 2 hours. So, a little bit short. But, yeah, now I don't mind this in hindsight. I don't hate any of these. Oh, well, I sort of hate this. Because I was excited for this, right? This was like a big disappointment for me. I was excited for this because finally they were bringing in the Mandarin. They have Ben Kingsley playing him. They're making him grounded, right? They're not making him an extraterrestrial alien with the 10 rings thing, even though we just had them fight against freaking aliens. No, we still got to be grounded, which makes no sense. He's a terrorist because grounded. Even though we just had aliens in the last movie, but grounded. Even though we had Asgardians and Thor, grounded. You know, 10-foot green guy destroying buildings, grounded. Guy flies around on a hammer, but grounded. Right? I don't know. The Extremis plot, if you want to say plot, speak English, is fine. It works. Put it together with the Mandarin is also fine. And then you get the twist. The Mandarin is not the Mandarin. He's an actor named Trevor Slattery. I remember being in the theater and I went, are you fucking kidding me? Because the true villain of this is Aldrich Killian. And in my mind I went, who? This guy, Guy Pearce's character, ends up being the main villain. And as a big middle finger to anyone who was still hoping that the Mandarin, or he would turn into the Mandarin, or whatever, or that the real Mandarin would show up in some way, shape, or form. In my opinion, he hasn't shown up at all in the MCU, and I'll get that when we talk about Shang-Chi, because I still don't believe that that's the Mandarin. We'll get to it. But as a big middle finger to the fans of the Mandarin character, Aldrich Killian utters the line, I am the Mandarin. And I went, fuck you. No, you're not. He was the pulling the strings, but he's not the Mandarin. The Mandarin is... Oh, it irks me so much. And then, like, the events of this movie don't really matter in the long run because he destroys all the suits. And by Age of Ultron, he's got suits built again. So it doesn't really matter. You know, it just, you know. I know they try to make sense of it, but there's some good action stuff in here. But to me, this is the worst, probably Well, it used to be the worst of the MCU for me until we got to Phase 4. But this is the worst one of Phase 2 for sure, because it just infuriates me every time I think of what they did to the Mandarin, one of my favorite villains from the TV show, that they could have done better, and they just, it's a big middle finger. Number 5 is going to be most people's worst one, Thor the Dark World. Villain is just boring. You got Christopher Eccleston, a guy who just exudes charisma. Watch him in Doctor Who. He's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And you know what? So was I. Anyway, but here he's just bland villain number 2. Bland villain number 5. The action sequences are fine, but you just get rehashes. You have, like, Loki die, I think, twice in this movie, and he's still alive. You know, I don't know. And it's just bland. The cinematography is bland. This movie comes in at 112 minutes. Short one. But it doesn't work. It's one of the worst, and it's just, I don't want to talk about it anymore. There's nothing to talk about. It's so blah. There's nothing to talk about. Number 5. Ant-Man. The next one that I was unsure about. Because I've heard of Ant-Man, in, like Avengers, you stand, this sort of thing. And then they said, oh, we're not doing Hank Pym's version. We're going to do the Scott Lang version. And I, again, went, who? Apparently there was 2 versions. I knew Hank Pym, all right? Hank Pym was the one I knew. And they made him Scott Lang, and Hank Pym is played by Michael Douglas, which is a good choice. He's great. The villain in this, again, it's another same as the hero type thing, where it's a suit that uses the Pym particle, but it's called the Yellow Jacket. And yeah, there's the great scenes, the shrinking thing, the giant ass Thomas the Tank Engine that comes out is just great. Baskin Robbins always find out. Luis is one of my favorite side characters, and I am disappointed that they didn't put him, at least as far as I know, in Quantumania. To be honest, from the trailers, there's a lot going on in that movie. I haven't seen it yet, so no spoilers. Please. My favorite superhero movie ever, Dave Carter, Fandango. But yeah, I think they weren't going to make this. Well, Ant-Man actually was going to show up in Phase 1. And they wanted him and the Wasp to be a part of the Avengers because they were a part of the original lineup. But it didn't work out. And so you got in Phase 2. And it's sort of a buffer between Phase 2 and 3. Because after this, you get Phase 3, And even the post-credit scene sets that up. But yeah, it's a fun little heist movie, really. To be honest. And it works. Number 4 is not Thor this time. Number 3. What? Okay, number 3. Okay, so let me realize this. I messed up. 6, 5, and 4. Okay? Number 3, Avengers Age of Ultron. Right away, my favorite line. You didn't see that coming? But I think that James Spader is a great villain. A lot of people say he's blah. My biggest problem with Ultron is that he shouldn't have been destroyed. Like, the biggest thing in the comics and all the other like animated films and even the TV series, the animated series, is that he cannot be destroyed. He's always got one other body. He's going to jump his consciousness to something else. The fact that he was defeated completely just kind of negates him. It's like Apocalypse in X-Men Apocalypse. He was just in one movie. He was killed in one movie. Everyone's like, oh, there's got to be some way for him to come back. And no, Apocalypse is another one of those villains that never dies, like Ultron. And they kill him off in one film. I think it's a waste of a villain. They could have been overarching, could have been something, But I think that James Spader is great in the role. I think there are some great action sequences in here. The whole stuff with Tony Stark, still having that. I didn't mention that in the Iron Man 3 part, but he has that, that damage, that emotional damage from what happened, all that trauma going around him, and it's still there. And you introduce Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, when this version aren't Magneto's children, and I don't know what they do with WandaVision later, the retcon stuff, but they're introduced, and they work. They eventually turn. Why they had to kill off Quicksilver, I don't know. I remember I went to see this in the theater with my family, my son, my mom, my stepdad, and they killed him off. Why? I like Quicksilver. He was one of the favorite characters in the movie, and then you didn't see that comment. He dies saving Hawkeye, by the way. He's got a family, because I think it's a subversion, because you see the Hawkeye as family, and you went, oh shit, he's dead. But then when he's about to get shot, he's like he's ready to take it. He's like, this is my time to die. And then he's saved by Quicksilver. And, that scene works. And everybody hates on it, says it's the worst Avengers movie, which I'm in line to agree when it comes to the Avengers films. It probably is the worst, but it's not terrible. I think it works. And the runtime would be 141 minutes, so back to being longer. But I think it works. It's an Avengers film. They're set up for the Infinity Stones in here as well. I think there was supposed to be more in there, but it works. Selvig. He goes from being like a major character in the first Avengers movie and first Thor, and Thor Dark World had like a cameo in this, and then he just sort of disappears, sort of. Number 2. Guardians of the Galaxy. Star-Lord. Who? I am Groot. And this was the big one. Like, I've seen posters in a comic book store or something, but I did not know who they are. And they were taking a big gamble on this, and I think they nailed it. I think this was the big one that came out. There was like, oh, I don't know about this, and it came out, and it just, people were like, yeah. Remember going to see this in the theater? People were like, I don't really know what this is. I saw the trailers. I'm not sure what it is, but it's Marvel. I'm sure it's going to be good, but I don't know what it is. And then, boom, someone walked out. That was pretty good for not knowing who they were. Words to live by with this movie, I guess. And then it become one of the biggest things, James Gunn has gotten big because of this. Chris Pratt is now doing the voice of a Mario because of this. Dave Bautista has bigger acting credits because of this. I am Groot is like a big catchphrase. People are buying plushies and Funkos because of this movie. This is like a big hit that just keeps on hitting, right? And it, as much as I remember watching it going, where's Thanos? Because they say they're the daughters of Thanos. Like, where is Thanos? We don't get Thanos, really. Or do we? Maybe we do. I don't know. I know he's off-world in this, but yeah. It's a world-building space thing, but yeah. All right. Number 1, and if you know me, this is no surprise. It is. Before we get started, does anybody need to get off? Captain America, the Winter Soldier. My favorite Marvel movie still to this day, by the way. So that's oops. Spoiler alert for my MCU rankings. My favorite MCU film. The Infinity Saga, I should say. Overall, though, yeah. Great action. I just watched this recently around my birthday time. My mom, my son, and it still holds up. There's great action. The twist. Okay, so the first twist was kind of ruined in the trailers with Bucky, but the people who made this were kind of like, okay, they're gonna know who the Winter Soldier is. So you get that line in the trailer, Bucky? Who the hell is Bucky? But then they hit you with a second twist. Hydra has been alive and well inside S.H.I.E.L.D. for all these years. You get Arnim Zola inside the computer thing. You get the leader of S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever he is. It's very iffy for me because they said, Nick Fury's the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. But then Alexander Pierce is above him? That's kind of confusing. Director name should mean that he's on top. even the World Security Council was reporting to him in the first Avengers movie, and now there's someone above him. I guess they'd have someone, and he's Hydra, and it's Robert Redford. He's great as a villain. I think he's a great villain. And Winter Soldier's a great villain. I think he's an anti-hero myself. And you have this is a political thriller. It's got great action scenes. It's great explosion. You think that Nick Fury dies? Spoiler alert! But he comes back, and it's just fantastic. This movie is fantastic. To the moon all day, and there you go. So that is my Phase 2 ranking for the MCU. Getting warm. I gotta finish these though. I have to do it. So we're gonna keep on trucking. What are your thoughts? What is your ranking of? What do you think of my ranking of the Phase 2 of the MCU? What's your ranking for it? Phase 2 of the MCU. Thank you for watching. I'm Scotty. I'll see you in the next one.